Hi everybody, it's Ray Hilton at New Raycom, and I'm extremely pleased to bring Mark Schaefer on board today. As you can see this little poster here, we are excited to have Mark come to Montreal to host a content marketing workshop. So Mark, everybody knows Mark, right? So do I have to really introduce this guy? I mean, like now Twitter, Born to Blog, which I just read, and it's amazing. He and Stafford did an incredible job on that. And my favorite is Return to Influence, because I read this all the time because I want to be an influential kind of guy. So, and he tells me how to do it. So, Mark, welcome aboard. So how do you feel about Montreal and coming?
I'm so excited. Montreal is one of my favorite cities in the world. And I haven't been there for a few years, and I'm excited because my wife is coming with me, and she's never been to Montreal. So this is going to be a real joy.
And I'm excited because it's a special time in Montreal. It's the Jazz Festival. And I hear you're a jazz freak.
Mm-hmm. I do. I love jazz. I kind of grew up with jazz, and so I've never been. I've actually been to the Franco Follies.
Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm.
In Montreal, but I've never been to the jazz festival. So it'll be a thrill.
It's exciting, very exciting. So let's jump to the content part of this, because obviously you're here to do a content marketing workshop. And wow, man, is it a buzzword or what? I mean, the end of last year, everybody said that was 2013 was going to be the year of the mobile, mobile. And yeah, I think January.
They say that every year.
Yeah, well, the thing is,
every year is the year of mobile.
Well, and by the end of January, it was. So what now? Well, what now is the two big topics, right? Influence and content marketing. You just can't open a blog post without seeing those two words. And we're going to, I mean, you've already dealt with influence on your book, Return of Influence, but let's go to the content thing. And there's something, I've been reading your blogs for a long, long time. And I'll tell you what, Mark, you and Miss Joel sort of accompanied me on my journey through social media when I started a few years ago. So thank you very much for being the mentor you are. But anyway, let's go back to content. And you said something that was, again, a riff off something that Mitch Joel said. And that was content is the new advertising. Now, being a 60s kind of hippie kind of guy who has this like cynicism about advertising, that kind of shakes me up a bit. And could you just give me a clarification of that, or is that for real, or?
Well, I think it's a debate, and really it's kind of the debate I was having with Mitch. If you look at the dynamics of the advertising agency today, the advertising industry today, look, the traditional ways that we've advertised are going away. Newspapers are struggling. TV, nobody's watching ads on television anymore. Even banner ads and stuff on websites is really declining. And so what's the alternative? And one of the big themes at South by Southwest this year was this idea of what is the new advertising. We've got to find a way to get our message out. And what I kept hearing over and over again is we have to turn to content because people are ignoring our ads. We have to find a way to embed the messages in content. Now, in some ways, I can see that as a strategy. In other ways, that makes me a little anxious because people tend to block out ads. I don't want them to block out content. So we're heading to a world where I think there's going to be some creative tension.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how I feel exactly. And I kind of sense it's going that way. We know when you go to a movie and you see all these product placements and everybody just groans, like, oh, really? Is that necessary? And I don't want to see that happening. And I see it a lot on Facebook, of course. There's no advertising on Google Plus, thankfully, for now. So I don't see much there. But I do see it everywhere, and I'm very suspicious when I see that. So anyway, well, thanks for clarifying that up, because I want to jump now to the content marketing. And it is such a hype because everybody feels that there's a pressure on my clients anyway. When I say you have to have a blog or you have to produce content, they freeze. I mean, not everybody's built to be a publisher or a writer. But I'm hearing that content marketing now is sort of where social media was a while ago, and marketers are selling that to their clients as a way of leveling the playing field somewhat. Do you feel that that's the case?
I think it's being approached that way. I don't think you'll succeed that way. It's the same as any advertising medium. It's the way social media started out. I mean, if you think about 5 years ago, what were the top videos on YouTube? It was a bride falling into a swimming pool, or a squirrel doing water skiing behind a toy ski boat.
Okay? Is it that long ago? Wow.
Now, the top videos, the top videos are these lavishly produced epics. They're these mini movies. And so that space has been taken over by big brands. So is it a level playing field? No, it's not a level playing field. It's become another advertising channel, really. I think content marketing, there are opportunities for every business, but you have to go into it realistically too to see, where are we in this space? What's the competition doing? Eventually, the big brands with the big bucks, I mean, they're going to be bringing to content marketing. I think we're already seeing that with Red Bull and Coca-Cola, which are becoming media channels as much as soft drink companies. So I think it's like TV advertising isn't a panacea. Social media isn't a panacea. Mm-hmm. You still have to execute.
I'm wondering if native advertising, I'm not an advertising guy, so please if I misquote these terms, but the whole idea, is that sort of like SEO, the old sort of black hat SEO thing where you pump up backlinks and that kind of stuff, and are they using it that way with money, with using embedded ads in their blogs and that kind of thing?
Well, it's a very complicated issue, and I think one of the things we're going to talk in the workshop is exactly this issue, is how do you cut through the clutter? How do you create unstoppable content, and not only great content, but then how do you ignite it? Because the content doesn't really work for you unless it moves, unless it's shared. Thing that a lot of companies overlook. So I'm hoping that in this workshop people will be able to walk away to understand, why should we do this? How do we do this? How do we create content that resonates? And how do we ignite it?
Okay, so going back to the workshop, who would benefit the most by going to this workshop?
Well, I mean, today I think the idea of content marketing, it's essential to understand, certainly for anybody in public relations, marketing, sales, customer service, to some extent even HR. Any function in a company that has been relying on advertising or, let's say, traditional PR really needs to understand the dynamics of content and the expectations of the audience for content today. So I think really anybody in those fields, even if you're an experienced practitioner, I look at things from a very different angle. I look at things from a very human angle. So I kind of cut through a lot of the hype and the mantras that are out there, and I look at things in human terms, almost in psychological terms, as far as what's going to move the needle and what do we really need to be focusing on.
So if I understand correctly, I mean, I think you're saying that the social aspect, the social component of the content marketing is very important in reaching out, building trust, building relationships.
I think that's one element. And I think if people fixate on that being the only element, then they could miss a bigger picture. I mean, there are lots of different potential benefits of content marketing beyond engagement. I think you have to look at engagement as one component. It can't be an end unto itself. In fact, I wrote in a blog post a while back that engagement can be expensive. It can drive a business into the ground. I mean, as a small business, I have to manage my engagement. So, I mean, if I'm I'm going on a business trip to Japan. During that trip to Japan, I cannot be completely engaged with my audience on my blog. So I've got to manage my presence and manage my content in a way that still provides value, but maybe tones down the engagement. So, I mean, I think there's a limit to based on every business's strategy as far as what kind of engagement, the amount of engagement. There might even be regulations in the financial business, in the medical business, as far as how you can engage and what you can say. So, I mean, you just can't, it's not a cookie cutter answer. I think a lot of people in the business try to make it a cookie cutter answer. Mm-hmm. You hear, it's all about engagement. That drives me crazy. It's all about the content. That's crazy. It's all about building a tribe. No, it's not. It's about creating results for your business, for your nonprofit, whatever type of organization you're in. And you need to do that thoughtfully. You need to do that with purpose and not just listen to the hype, but really align the tools with your goals.
Yeah, I mean, everything has to work towards that goal, right? I mean, essentially, whatever it takes. As you say, it's not one thing. Nothing is ever one thing, is it? I mean, nothing is that simplistic. Thanks a lot, Mark. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this, especially with the travel and stuff that's going on and all that. So, again, I just want to remind everybody that if you want to just spend a great July 4th, the one that you'll remember, skip the States and come to Montreal. It's going to be lots of fun. There's going to be jazz, and there's going to be Mark Schaefer and a content marketing workshop. So, again, Mark, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And I'm going to put the poster back up just in case people need the details. Where are we here?
Yeah, in case they haven't seen me enough.
Yeah, because you're a quiet kind of guy, There we are. So so it's Mark Schaefer, Cut Through the Clutter, and the workshop is on July 4th at McGill University. All the information is there, and I'll give you all the links in the post below. So thanks again, Mark. I really appreciate this, and listen, have a safe and happy trip.